just going to give you a little bit of a presentation on SEO. I'm going to cover some of the very basics. You probably know a lot of this stuff already, but there might be some little bits and pieces in here that you pick up. So, some of the challenges you might have when you're doing SEO in Joomla is it can be quite time consuming. Like when you're going into the menu items, selecting the page title and filling out the meta description, that sort of thing. It can take a long time to go individually into each menu item, and also you don't know whether you've duplicated the same text. There's no way in Joomla that shows you what you've put in there and that sort of thing. Getting all the little things right, there's settings in the Joomla configuration that should be turned on, but maybe you're lazy or maybe someone else set up the site and they didn't quite set it up right. Just these little bits and pieces that it can take time to go in and check all those settings and make sure that you've got it all right. And yeah, the repetitive tasks of going into your metadata, that sort of thing. So there's some challenges that everyone will come across when you're managing SEO in Joomla. Another challenge is getting the clients to understand that SEO is not just a one-off thing. It's something that needs to be ongoing. As you're adding more content to the site, you want to be optimising that for SEO as well, not just do it once and forget about it. And obviously Google's constantly changing. There's always new things coming along, so you want to make sure that you're not just doing it once a year, it's an ongoing process. So with SEO, it's not just one killer thing that turn this on and you've got awesome SEO. It's lots and lots of little bits and pieces that all contribute together to make your site rank well. Some things, if you do it wrong, you can completely screw up your site and kill its SEO ranking completely. For instance, the robots.txt, if you screw that up, you might disallow your entire site from Google, and then it's not going to index it and no one's going to find it. So there's some things that you can do that can be detrimental. So if we look around the world, the different countries have different popularity of different search engines. So for instance, in Australia, Google's the most popular. In China, you've got Baidu. In Russia, there's another one. Depending on what country you're in, depends on which search engine you're going to target. Most Western countries, Google's popular. But you can, if you look at this slide, you can see all the individual percentages of which ones are popular where. So just a sort of summary of that is pretty much for us, Google is the only one we care about. But if you were targeting someone in Russia, you might look at trying to target Yandex, or in Japan, you look at Yahoo, Nadia for South Korea. So, yeah. There's a few things that Google is looking for, some basic things that every Joomla administrator can do to make Google happy. Obviously having unique and relevant metadata is good. If you have the same metadata in every single page, then Google doesn't like that. Turning on your set URL, so you don't want the index.php question mark option equals showing in your URLs. You want nice clean URLs. The robots.txt file tells the search engines which directories to look at and which ones not to look at. So if you were blocking the images folder in your robots.txt, then Google Images isn't going to be able to index any of your images. And a sitemap is handy for search engines to find all the different pages on your site. Now, obviously search engines are smart enough to find the pages without a sitemap, but it's one of the things that they like to see, and it's better to have one than to not have one. So there's a few things that Google doesn't want. Back in the past, the meta keywords were very popular. Everyone just used to put in the same word 50 times or whatever, and rigged system. And, yeah, but back in the bad old days of SEO, keywords were one of the most important things. These days, the search engine is completely ignored, so you're wasting your time if you fill it out. In fact, it's probably even detrimental to your site if you fill it out, because you're essentially telling your competitors what keywords you think are important, and then they might start to target some of those keywords and maybe some pay-per-click advertising, or they might put some content on their site to try to target the keywords that you think are important. So you're better off just ignoring the keywords completely. Duplicate content is a bad idea. If you have the same article appearing multiple times on your site, or if you've got two sites with the same content, Google doesn't like that at all. And broken links, Google wants the user experience to be good. It doesn't want to show your site in some search results and someone clicks on the link and then it just comes up with a 404 error or something like that. So you want to avoid broken links. There's a lot of other things that Google looks for as well, like a fast loading site to see if your site's mobile responsive and all these sort of things. But the reason why I'm not covering them in this presentation is because they're not the sort of thing that the average administrator can do. That's a little bit more technical to fix those sort of areas. So pretty much if Google's happy, chances are other search engines are going to be happy too. So if we try to cater our SEO towards Google, then we may make Yahoo or Bing and other search engines happy too, just by doing what Google likes. So some tips specific to Joomla. As I mentioned before about the keywords, in your global configuration there's this site meta keywords. If you put anything in there and you don't have keywords set on individual pages, then these same keywords are going to appear on every single page of your site. Same with the meta description, that's like the default. If you put something in your global config, then every single page on your site that you don't have meta description defined for is going to have the same one in the global config, and that's going to result in duplicate content for Google. So the recommendation is just completely leave those two settings in the global configuration blank. Don't put anything in there. If you've got something in there, delete it. Okay, the next thing you want to do is every single menu item on your site, make sure that you have a unique meta description in there. And when someone's searching in Google looking for your site,
Can you put it in there?
yeah, I'm going to post this slides on my so the meta description needs to be unique and preferably relevant to the content. And this is the text that the user will see when they're searching in Google and your site comes up in the listing. You can control what the user's going to see. So you want to give the user a good first impression and give them a reason to click on your link. Now, you can't guarantee that that's what Google's going to show. It may still pick another part of your page that it thinks relevant, but this is sort of the default that if Google's not quite sure what to show, then it's going to show this meta description. So it's quite important to get that right and make it relevant to the page you look at. So that's the meta description. If you don't put the meta description in, Google will often just take the first part of your article and stick that in there. So you may have things like the author and the date and that sort of stuff showing in the Google results, and that doesn't really look nice when someone's going through Google results. They're less likely to click on your site if they see this sort of stuff and nothing descriptive about it. So that's what they'd see in Google. It's much better if you put in your own text you want to appear. So the next thing is the browser page title. It's on the page display tab in your menu item, and that is what is shown in the title, the actual link that people click on in Google. So you've got a limited number of characters there. You don't want it too short. I think the recommendation is at least 6 characters, and you don't want it too long. So you don't want it more than about 55, 60 characters, something like that, because otherwise Google's just going to truncate it they're not going to see it anyway. So it's sort of an ideal.
What's the recommendation on that? Sarah Tim's got Team Plummer and then Joomla Addict. Pick your most profitable or relevant keyword first. If you're trying to push your brand, then have your brand first. If you're trying to push a product or service, then have that first. Because that's what they read first, that gets the attention. If you have something non-relevant, check us out for the best XYZ, they're not going to check you out for the best XYZ because you're trying to do a pitch, not giving them a keyword that they actually search. So have a keyword that's relevant in the title of what Tim is actually pointing out.
Yeah, so that's quite important. The next thing is, do you have a sitemap? By default, the core Joomla doesn't have any sitemap capabilities in it. In the past, a lot of people use an extension called XMap, but that extension died, and that was forked by Aledia. So now they've got their fork, which is called OSMap, and that's a popular one that a lot of people use. That said, it is quite complicated and there's a lot of settings in there, so it may be overkill for some people or too technical. So I'll show you another solution to that later on. Once you've got your sitemap, you want to submit it to Google. You should link your site with Google Webmaster Tools, verify it, and submit your sitemap in there. It's very easy to do, and that way Google can make sure that it's indexing all the relevant pages on your site. Often the sitemap excludes pages that are hidden that you don't want Google to index, so it will tell Google what it should look at and exclude anything it shouldn't be looking at. So when it comes to Joomla SEO tools, there's heaps available. There's like 89 or so in the extension directory when you're looking at that. So it can be a daunting task to know which extension to use. Now, it obviously depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking to completely restructure your URLs and stuff like that, then SH4047 is the default that everyone uses pretty much. But for things like managing the metadata and building your sitemap and those sort of things, there's quite a lot of different tools available. So I'm going to show you tonight a tool that I've developed, and it's called BF SEO.
This is the best time there, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So what this does, it makes all these basic SEO tasks very simple for you and allows you to easily make sure you get the basics right in Joomla. And yeah, so I'll show you some of the features of it. So that's the sort of cPanel when you bring up the extension. I'll show you a live demo after I've gone through these slides. But the first thing you'll notice there's the meta tag manager, and there's the article meta tags, category meta tags, a configuration check which checks your Joomla configuration, page check where you can check individual pages, and there's also a tool to create and edit your robots.txt and your htaccess file, and there's a simple sitemap tool in there as well. So I'll show you some of these. Yeah, so one of the benefits of using this extension is it's going to save you a lot of time managing all those menu metadata, the title and description, and metadata of your articles and categories. It'll give you a single screen to edit all that information. It can easily identify when you've got duplicate metadata if you've used the same text twice or multiple times. It gives you an indication whether your metadata is too long or too short.
Can I just ask a question? When you're doing this duplicate data, like say on the text we've got chairs, there's only certain, what else can you say with a chair?
Well, it might be antique Victorian chair.
Yeah, I understand that, but you've still got the chair is repeating itself all the time. Is that a problem, or is it just what you say?
Yeah, it's fine, but the metadata, you wouldn't want all of them to just say chair, 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 chair.
No. So it's all right to use chair.
So you describe your chair. it's like if somebody walks into your shop and says, well, what's the difference between this chair and that chair? Well, that's a great leather with a mesh back and executive boardroom chair, whereas that is more like a conference sort of room or training chair.
Have 20 or 30 different sets of chairs, but they're all Victorian and they're all mahogany.
But they're not the same size, they're not the same style.
Well, they are the same size, they are the same.
But there are distinct features between them. That's what we're talking about. What's different between this chair and that chair?
Would that be different if you're putting on the pages to the side, you can say on the screen? Because by having one different pages, they're obviously the same, they're different.
Well, they belong to, well, they're a different set. And look here, there's orange chairs.
That's right. So you've got orange, you've got grey, you've got yellow. So as long as you're describing it, then
So it's a Victorian chair, a set of 5 Victorian chairs. There's going to be
But
some
then you've got
difference.
how many letters? You know, you can only put in so many letters.
Yeah, well, you've got to be creative sometimes.
When you've got up to 5 or 600 different chairs, it becomes a problem trying to think of something you want to say.
Yep.
that's where you get an SEO back to it. That's where you get an SEO person to do it.
Yeah.
So the
Like-
phrase has to be different. You have the words repeated.
Your title, your description needs to, the phrases needs to be different. You can't just copy and paste from somewhere else.
No. Okay.
Yes, so some other features of this product, it's got a tool to audit your Joomla configuration and tell you what you've got right or what you can improve on. And it also supports K2, so anyone not using the core Joomla articles using K2 can also use this. So the way that it works with the title, metadata and description is just a single screen and it lists all your menu items and shows the title and description, and you can update them all in one place. The same with articles and categories, you've just got a single screen where you can update them all in one place. It checks for duplicate content, so if you've got the same metadata twice, and it's going to give you a visual indication that there's something wrong there because it's repeated. Another feature of this product, it's got a simple sitemap tool in it. So from using sitemap tools like XMap, OSMap, and other products like that, there's 2 issues that I see with those extensions. But the first of the issues is that they're too complicated. For someone who's just new to Joomla or someone who doesn't understand sitemaps too much, there's just too many optional settings and you don't know what to choose. So it can be confusing to the end user. The other thing is that they normally create a dynamic XML for the sitemap, so like index.php, option equals, com underscore OSMap, view equals sitemap, format equals XML, something like that. And so it's fine when you're submitting that URL to Google, to the Webmaster Tools, or you're submitting it specifically to search engines, but all those other search engines that you don't specifically submit that sitemap URL to, they're never going to find it. What the standard in the web is that the search engines look in the root folder for a sitemap.xml file, and that's usually a static file that tells the search engine it's a sitemap. So what I've done in this product is actually generate that static sitemap.xml that's like an index and it points to the dynamic one. It's something that I normally do manually when I'm using those other products, but this product does it all for you and makes it really simple. So it will create that dynamic URL that as you add menu items and stuff, that automatically gets updated, and the sitemap.xml in the root will point to that dynamic file. So it just simplifies it and makes it easy for search engines to find you. There's also a robots.txt tool in there. So first of all, check to see whether your site has a robots.txt. If it doesn't, it will give you a button to create one. If it already has a robots.txt, it gives you a little editor in there to display what you've currently got, give you the ability to edit it through your Joomla admin interface. It also checks for a couple of things. In Joomla 3.3, they changed the default robots.txt that came with Joomla. Prior to that, there was a disallow for the templates folder, for the media folder, and for the images folder. And if those 3 are blocked, Google's not going to be able to look in your template, so it can't look at your JavaScript files and see whether your site's mobile responsive. It won't be able to look at the media and the images, so you can't index any of those images for Google Images, that sort of thing. I found that I had a few sites that I've upgraded from earlier versions of Joomla 3 up to the latest version, and I've forgotten to go in and fix it up. So this tool tells you straight away whether you've still got those old settings in there, and gives you the opportunity to fix that up. So this is the audit tool that goes through and checks the settings in your global configuration, basically telling you whether they're good or whether it recommends you should change them. I'll do a live demo of this shortly too, so you can see it in action. There's a broken link checker, so you can check individual pages to see whether there's any URLs in there that are broken and no longer work. Okay, to get BF SEO, if you go to the extension directory, you can see it on there, and you can get it directly from my Talent Software website. If you do use this product, I highly recommend that you leave a rating and review. It'll help other people find the product and help boost me up in the list instead of being down the bottom of that 89 extensions if you're close to the top, so that'll be nice if you do. So, because I'm really nice, I'm going to give you all a free copy. And for anyone who didn't come tonight, I'm going to post this slide up online. So.
Mine's the coupon code.
Yeah, well, I'm not having the slide with the coupon code. You snooze, you lose.
So I shouldn't be tweeting that photo.
Sure. No, don't tweet the coupon code. So
how often do you update it?
No, 10 every week.
Well, it's only been out for, what, a week or two. I've already...
Sorry.
Yeah, I've added a few new features in already, so...
how often are you going to update it?
Well, look at it this way.
It depends on...
Hardy had a look at this, and we had a conversation. I recommended a few things. 2 hours later, he came back, goes, try this now. And then had a more conversation, and then I think it was the next day, he goes, by the way, try this one now. This is all it is. Oh, if you've already installed it, make sure you add this table to it otherwise. So
the only problem is in a month's time, someone's going to go to me, I'm going to go to a beginner. Yes, I'm just hoping to keep it.
Yeah. Well, from the user feedback we get, if people are asking for features to be added, then I'll put that in those as well. But,
most people aren't going to know what Google wants.
No, but if there's things that you think are missing,
features
that should be added, other features that you want, let me know and I can look at it. So, yeah, that's the presentation. Now I'll give you a bit of a live demo.
Are you going to encourage us to keep up the $29 after 3 months?
No, it's GNU GPL, so once you've downloaded it and installed on your site, if you never want to update it again, that's fine. You can keep it the same version. If you want to update it and get the newer version, then eventually you'll need to buy a subscription. But, hopefully this gives you a chance to try it out, see if you like it. And,
Well, hopefully you've made enough money from there, then you can afford for 21.
I mean, if someone had the free thing for 3 months, would you then perhaps email them a big change?
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing some email marketing to people who subscribe.
Someone who's using it and then stops the payment. So this is just a standard Joomla 3.4.8 site that I've installed with the sample data. And I've installed BF SEO, so it's just the extension to install, browse the file, install, no fancy settings there. And here's the dashboard. If we go into the, I'll go into the options first to show you the settings in there. This is where you can put in your download ID. So if you purchase a product, you'd have a download ID you can put in there, and when there's an update, when you check for updates on Joomla, it'll allow you to update it automatically through the back end of Joomla without having to go to my site and download it and stuff. Here's where you can configure the minimum and maximum lengths for the titles and descriptions. Most other products that do this sort of thing, they set the standards, and if you don't like it, you've got to hack the extension if you want to change it. Whereas I'm giving people the flexibility, if they're targeting a different search engine and maybe they're allowed more, 55 characters or whatever, you can go in there and adjust it to suit whatever you need to. This could be a pizza. Just let me put it loose. Yep. Okay, we'll come down there. Sorry. Back. Do you want to grab it? Yeah, it's right there. Okay, so you can configure the settings in there if you don't like the settings there. You can also change the warning text when it's too short or too long. If you don't like my messages, you can put in your own custom messages. Particularly if you're setting this up for a client to use, you might put something a bit more user-friendly if you want to. And there's also some text in here. This is for when you're generating metadata automatically. I'll show you that feature, but that's what these bottom settings here are relating to. So we'll go into the menu meta tags. So for every single menu item, it's going to have a different row here, and you can just type the text in here. As you're typing, it's automatically checking to see whether the text is too short or too long. So if I put some really long text in there, you'll see it's saying it's too long when it says it's too long by 30 characters. You can go in and adjust that until you get to the right length, and then it won't complain again. Same thing with the meta description, it checks as you're writing it, and when it gets too long, it will complain to you. If you put the same thing in twice, and save it, it's going to complain about being duplicate content. So you can easily see when you've got more than one that's the same. Just save that again, so now they're different, so it's not complaining anymore. There's some little links in here where you can easily get to your menu item if you need to adjust anything directly in your menu. It works better on a bigger screen. Yeah, so when you click on that, just this load pop-up window, it takes you directly to that menu item. If you wanted to change something in here, whatever, it's just a quick way.
So you don't call the URL there? Okay. Sorry? You can't call the URL on that page that you can't use to update the URL? You've got a table, you've got a meta, title, and description, and then can you have actual page URL? Just type that in there?
You would have to go in. If you want to change the alias, you'd need to go into the menu item and change it from in here, like changing that alias there. The other thing to note is that as you're changing the text in here, it's not storing it in its own tables, it's actually writing it directly into the Joomla core table. So you can see here, this text that I've written here, when I look in the meta description in the menu item, you can see it's put that text in, and if I change it in here, save it.
Then why did you not call the alias as well?
You want the alias in there?
You do.
Put it in.
Is that because of the URL?
I can put it in there if you want, but I didn't include it. Right. So you can see that when you update the menu item directly, it also updates in here because it's looking in the same places. It's looking in those core tables. So the good thing is that if you set up all this metadata and then you uninstall BF SEO, you're not going to lose anything because it's all in the core Joomla. So I've seen products before that override the core and store it in its own place, and that's not such a good idea. There's also a front-end preview for each of the menu items, so you can see what that page is on the front end if you're not quite sure what it was, and you need to have a quick look at it so you know what content to write there. There's a page check tool, so you can check the individual page for some various things. Things like whether you're using H1 tags, H2 tags. It'll check your images to see whether you're using the alt tags or not, and if you're not, it'll tell you which images you need to go and fix. Just a few little checks in there. If there's any other checks you'd like added in there, please let me know, but it's just got a few basic things at the moment. There's also the link checker. Now, this takes a little bit longer to load because it's actually physically getting every single link on that page, testing it, doing a call to it, and so if you've got lots of links on the page, it's going to take a little while to go through check all
I
those.
recommend add a little spinning thing, checking your links this way. Otherwise, think it's not happening, just close it.
Yeah, probably a good idea. But, so you can see here, all these ones are green, they're all good. If it comes up in red,
why don't you just put like a little tick box or a cross or something else next to instead of 200 or 302 or 500?
well, that's like the browser code, like the
Can you
200 is okay, or 404 error, or
then it's hand off, but for a user, if they don't know what the codes mean, you could just override them with icons and then have a little table of content representing what each icon actually is.
yeah. Well, we did have ticks in there originally, but it sort of you're overwhelmed with.
Can you mouse over and just a little dialog box?
Well, you could go to those URLs if you want to.
Or just have a little table on the side that with the actual codes, what each code represents for the user who's not familiar with it.
Well, it's in the user guide, but yeah, I see what you mean. It's probably good to have a little table at the bottom or something like that, cheat sheet or something. Yes, so that's the menu meta tag section.
Sorry, one other thing. Can you go back to the preview of how the page looks like? Okay. Might be a good idea if you can show them what the URL of the page actually is from here as well when you do the preview.
Yep.
And what the title is. So they can see some of the changes they made on there instead of just giving the text, the content.
Okay. Yep.
I'll run down some to that.
Okay, good. So yeah, then we've got articles and categories. You can access them via the dashboard here, going to the articles, or you can use that drop down to see if we switch between those sections.
Can I just ask a question which is probably very obvious to everybody else on that page back?
This one or the dashboard?
Yeah, just the one that we've been looking at.
Yep.
You've got using extensions and using Joomla.
This is sample data that was installed with Joomla, so that's what those menu items are called.
Right, so should you be putting that meta title in the extension bit or the Joomla bit? Or it's the same?
Every single menu item should have metadata. There are different menus on the site.
You'll recognise your own menu.
Like
right. Okay.
there's the home menu and site of the latest users.
Yeah.
So let's quickly go to articles here. I'll just give a very quick demo of the
Do
rest
you
of
want
it.
to say something after the
I'll just give a couple more minutes and then we'll go for pizza. So the article is pretty much the same as the menus, but the difference here is we've also got a generate meta description. So for people who are really lazy, they can just press a button and it'll fill out that metadata for them. Now,
Sorry? That's an auto-generator, is it?
quite a lot of the extensions that generate metadata for you at the moment that you find in the JET will just literally take the first 160 characters or something like that out of the article and chuck that in. This meta description generator is a little bit smarter. It actually looks for keywords, finds the most popular keyword on that page, and then picks a sentence that contains that keyword rather than just picking the first part of the text. In the options, you'll see that there's a couple of settings in here for that. You can either pick the keyword from the article title or from the article content itself. It'll go through the entire article, figure out how many times each word's occurred and which is the most popular, and use that to pick the meta description. Now, you can exclude keywords in there if there's particular words you never want to see in that. You can put that in there as well. And if you're using plugins or something in your article, like loading a module or anything like that, you can strip out all those plugin tags as well with that.
What happens if the paragraph that selects for the article meta description contains one of the keywords that you've added in not to include? Exactly what it can't.
What it does is it decides the keywords based on those options. So if you have an exclude for the word and, it's never going to decide that and is the most popular keyword. The sentence that it picks could still have the word and.
Description, but you will not necessarily consider it as a keyword.
Correct. correct. Yeah. The other section with the low module and stuff like that, they're the words that it'll actually strip out and remove. So once it's generated that description there, you can go in and customise it and add whatever you like and save that. If you want to generate the data again, all you do is delete the contents of that field and hit the generate again. It's going to leave in place everything that's already got metadata in there at the moment and only populate the ones that are blank. So essentially any that you want to automatically generate, just delete what's in there, press the button and it's going to generate them for you. So ideally you should be doing these by hand and manually writing something relevant in that, but when you've got a big site and you're lazy, like maybe with your chair site or something like that, you just press a button and see what happens. And
well, the good thing is, if you were to do it all manually, you probably have to, between article to article, you have to click about 7 or 8 times to get to where you need to. Whereas at least here, you've got one list and you just work through it, type it all up.
If you haven't changed the page and you generate just again that page, it might come up with the same one.
it should come up with the same one, but you need to delete what's in there for it to regenerate. So if I went through and deleted all of these and generated again, then it should come up with the same each time when it generates it.
And this is also stored back in the article page anyway.
Yeah, just like the menu items, it's stored in the article itself. So if you uninstall BF SEO, you're not going to lose any of this menu.
Can you scroll to the bottom first?
Sure, you don't want to take more time going through.
That's right. Thank you.
So that's the articles. The categories pretty much the same, except it's just got the meta description, doesn't have the titles, doesn't have the generate. Yeah,
Does the menu meta description override the article?
yes, in most cases, yes. If the article is loaded directly, then the article one will be used, but if it's accessed via the menu, then generally the menu one's going to be used. It's good practice to have both in there, but if you're only going to do one, just do the menu items, they're the most important. So then we've got this configuration check. It goes through, checks your Joomla config and tells you what's good and what's not. Any of these settings you can go in and change in your overall configuration and fix them up if they're not right. In this case, I don't have use URL rewriting terminal on this test page. The page check and the link check is the same as on that menu page there. You can go in and put in any URL. It doesn't have to be on your site. It could be any external URL or whatever, and check those pages for SEO stuff and for broken links. Robots.txt, as I mentioned before, it checks to see if you got one, and then if you do, it'll put it in there.
Right. Make a recommendation for everyone. You see that first block of all the text? Okay, this allows like all the stuff about Joomla. Delete all of that. Leave no references behind, to be honest. I can generally delete it. I don't like to have any references to say this is a Joomla site or a WordPress site or whatever.
Yeah, you can just
mask it.
delete that.
Yeah.
So you can see here it's doing a check and saying that since Joomla 3.3 disallow media shouldn't be included, so because I've got the disallow media in here, it's saying that's bad, better fix it. So you can either just delete that line completely or comment it out, save it, and then the warning goes away. So it's a quick visual check to see whether you've got old TXT settings.
Sorry, I went through and found that because I've been trying to get images to show up in the images thing, and I haven't done it. I'm just wondering now whether. So if that was in there, just our images, I'll just delete it.
Yep. If it was in there like that.
What's the website called?
Yes. So yeah, you can just literally delete that line, save it, and that will fix it up. So that's the robots.txt. HT access, same sort of thing. It first of all checks to see if you got one. If you don't, it gives you the ability to create one, so you just press a button to create one, and then gives you an editor to edit it if you want to. Be very careful with HT access. Just one character wrong can screw up your site and cause 500 errors and break it completely. So yeah, be very careful what you change in there.
Do you do a backup? Can you run a backup on that?
It doesn't back up that. It just checks to see if you got one, and if you don't, it creates one based on the htaccess.txt in your root and renames if you've already got one, it won't recreate it. But if you do want to recreate it, you just go in your website group, delete what's there, and it's creating it. It's only putting the default Joomla one in there. There's much better Txt access tools available. Like if you want a really complicated one that adds security features, use like a keep routing tools that's got a Txt access maker that's really good. But this is just a basic one that if you haven't got anything, this is better than nothing. And then there's a sitemap tool, which it's really simple. Basically, it tells you which menus you want included in your sitemap. So you tick the box and say, okay, I want these menus. You might have a hidden menu that you don't have ticked. And then create sitemap. And it creates that sitemap.xml in your website group that then points to the dynamic images XML sitemap. So you can see here what it's generating. If you don't like what you've got there and you want to start again, you can just go delete and pick different menu items and create it again. And there's a sitemap. As you add new menu items and stuff, that's just automatically update. And you can submit that sitemap to Google. You can either just give them the URL that is generated here, or you can just put your website /sitemap.xml and it will load up this index file that loads up the dynamic one anyway. So yeah, it just makes it a really simple tool for anyone who wants a basic sitemap. If you want a more complicated one and you want to be able to configure it and customize it and stuff like that, you're probably still better off looking at those other solutions like OSMap. But if you just want something really simple and basic, this will do the job. And this is better than nothing, obviously. So, yeah.
Tim, can I make a recommendation?
Yep.
You know, people add the Google verification code or Google tracking. Yeah, able to add it in there.
Good.
Your images folder has been blocked.
On the presentation, you said the Google has to run with the keyword search, so they are not using the keywords.
Yeah.
But in your one, search based on the keywords based by title, and you have set up the configuration over here.
There's no keyword. There's only the title and description. Like if you go into the menu item, there's a keyword field as well, but I just completely ignore that.
But it still works, right, for other search engines if you add keywords over there?
Generally not. I think most of them ignore it these days because it's just been abused so much in the past that I think they all just ignore it these days. So, I think that's about it for now. How about we have some pizza and come back to more questions and general discussion.